Collecting high-quality data begins with making sure the equipment is properly adjusted and maintained before you ever go to the field. That's why we've prepared these 7, 5, and 3-point checklists for pH, OM, and EC that allows you in just a few minutes to verify that the equipment is operating properly before you ever put the unit down into the soil. So now you've got your MSP3 attached to a tractor. It's powered up with hydraulics and all the electrical components. You can verify that by moving the shoe up and down. So now you're ready to begin your pre-flight checklist. So for this checklist we have 7 pre-flight items we want to check for the pH, 5 for the organic matter sensor, and 3 for the electrical conductivity sensor. So let's begin with pH. So the first item on the pH checklist is to inspect all parallel linkages for loose or missing bolts. So parallel linkages are the sampler shoe, it's also the electrode holder. So we want to look and make sure all these bolts are in place. If any bolt's going to work loose on a machine, it's bolts on a parallel linkage. Those are the ones that are most likely to work loose. So let's make sure they're all in place. It's very important that this pH electrode holder is moving freely. Sometimes a rock or mud can get caught up in there, or for other reasons that may not be moving freely up and down. Second item is to raise and lower the sampling shoe. And as we do that, we want to make sure that that scraper right here is making good contact with the cutting shoe. And it's compressing the springs and scraping the front of that cutting shoe. Also is the prox light right here turning on and turning off as the sampler shoe moves up and down. So the prox light should be on when it's over metal and off when it's over an air gap. Third item is the sampler shoe movement about 1.5 to 2 seconds. That's about the right speed for it to move. So 1001, 1002, 1001, 1002. So it's about 2 seconds. Is the electrode gap, when the shoe is all the way raised, do we have the proper electrode gap here between the electrodes underneath here and the pH sampler shoe? Fourth item is, are the wash jets working properly and are they properly aligned? And a quick inspection of that allows you to see that they are or aren't. Item number 5, what's the wear like on the cutting shoe? Well, obviously this is a new machine, so the wear is new. But what will happen is the wear surface is on the bottom of the cutting shoe. So as it wears, it'll wear on the bottom, and one of the maintenance items we'll cover in another video is how to knock that off, rotate it, put it back on. So check the wear item. Item number 6, clean out any dry soil from the trough and the cutting shoe. Use this cleaning rod that we provide if needed. The final item is to test the electrodes in a 4 and 7 solution, and that's part of the calibration procedure. These may need to be buffed lightly with sandpaper if you don't get a good calibration. So these are the 7 items that are part of the pH pre-flight checklist. For the organic matter sensor, there are 5 key items to check before you do any mapping. Now, obviously we're underneath the machine here, so it's very critical that you have the safety stands down before you do these 5 items. So first of all, rotate all the moving parts on the row unit. The gauge wheels, the double disc openers. Make sure that all the cleaners and the colders up front, but the critical ones are really these, the gauge wheels and the disc. Make sure that any dried soil is cleaned out, or that whatever you need to do to make sure these wheels turn very freely. If these wheels lock up or the discs lock up while you're mapping, you will get a streak in the data. So having these turning is absolutely critical. So check the contact between the disc blade and the tire. There should be a slight contact, kind of a kiss of that rubber tire against the blade. That keeps the blade, helps keep the blade turning and keeps it free of mud. That's the second item. The third item is check the window. And for this one, it's really important to go ahead and get under and actually look right up at the window. It's really the only way to tell if there's any crack in the window or any foreign matter that's somehow gotten in there and is above the window, between the sensor and the window. If there's any foreign matter above the window, that will also wreak havoc with your data. So that's really the only way to do is to get under that. And as you're inspecting that, item number 4 is to see if the wear plate, the window and the wear plate need to be replaced. If the metal in the wear plate will actually wear faster than the window's sapphire, so the metal will actually wear first, which exposes kind of the edge of the window. And it may need to be replaced if that window's exposed too much. So here is a well-worn wear plate. You can tell the edges are worn down, and if you run your finger across here, you can definitely feel that window now protruding. You can run it a little longer than this. You can probably run it until it actually starts frosting a little bit at the front edge there, but you're on borrowed time when you get to that point. So it's best to replace this when you can really feel that window protruding from the wear plate. Step number 5 is to take your black and white reference block and perform your reference test for your OM sensor. We actually recommend doing this not just once a day, but actually before every field. There are 3 items on the EC pre-flight checklist. First item is to inspect the Coulter electrode blades, make sure they're turning freely, make sure there's no excessive side play that might indicate a possible bearing replacement or adjustment needed. Second item is to clean all the excess soil or mud from the toolbar. Because each one of these Coulter electrodes is isolated from the toolbar, any excess soil that's laying on here may cause the signal to bridge across between electrodes and create a faulty reading. Finally, the third item is to do a quick continuity check on the Coulter electrodes. We recommend at least weekly using the test box with the 6 terminals to fully test the cabling and the Coulters. But very quickly with an ohm meter, you can touch one lead to each blade, the other lead to the Coulter terminal bolt, and take a very quick reading to make sure that the continuity down in the Coulter is proper. You can do this very quickly on all 6 Coulters. We recommend doing that daily. So the final step before you head to the field is to fire up the computer and the Soil Viewer program and drive around your lot before you leave to go to the field, and just cycle the unit up in the air. This integrates all the functions of the equipment, the GPS, the communication cables, all the electrical and hydraulic functions can be tested by simply driving around the lot with the unit raised up in the air.